Guys, it's Bina, and season 3 is right at our door. I was on vacation for like the last week, so I did not have time to start working on these guides updates until very recently. I went really hard at work for this, and I have updated 5 guides so far. We all know Serpent Venom is completely dead, so the guides I have updated for season 3 right now before the patch goes live. It's 10:30 a.m. and the patch goes live at 12. So there is the Ballista Falconer, the Hydrahedron Rune Master, the Lightning Blast Rune Master, Totem Shaman, and Stormcrows Beastmaster. So we're gonna go over a little bit of what changed on all of these guides and compared to like the previous ones. But mainly this patch brings up a lot of power creep, and primordial uniques, which you can only have one of, and tier 8 affixes, so which are primordial affixes. You can only have either a tier 8 or either a primordial unique. So Hydrahedron Rune Master, compared to last patch, what has changed? Well, if you were using a bug that had with Frostwall with Esperance Arrival node, that when you went through it, it kept the damage multiplier until you manually cast another Ringification, or you go through another Frostwall. You had an insane amount of damage extra from this node. This patch, you don't have it, but as I said, previous patch, you never needed it, and if you relied on that bug to do damage, then it's just building wrong. But then again, if you build correctly and you use that bug, then you could like basically almost one-shot Uber Aberrot, like not exactly one-shot, but like you had like a really good damage profile for the build. But now with this patch, what I decided to do is I went for the Focus Amulet, so the mana guide, which enables you to channel focus. This build will still do great damage. It's unconventional gearing, right? It's gearing with dodge. With Ruin's Fortress, you scale dodge, armor, and ward all at the same time. And you wanted to get an equal amount of all of them because it's going to take your lowest amount out of those 3 and give you flat damage based on that. So you get an insane amount of flat damage on this build. A lot of your scaling is going to come from idols, potentially blessings as well. There's other ways of like of scaling armor or dodge or ward, but the ward is mainly going to come from mana guide, and now using the Runic Fortress, you're going to get a huge burst of ward based on your armor when you channel for 2 seconds. So you are going to be channeling focus for 2 seconds, putting down the frost wall, going through with the flame rush, and that's going to proc your Runification, which is going to be Hydrahedron. So yeah, nothing much has changed except that we are going focus. And previous patch, the main issue of the build was the tankiness. This completely solved the tankiness. It's going to be an extremely tanky build. Dot is going to be your hardest thing to mitigate, but any hits, you're going to be capped dodge, capped armor, and well, not exactly capped armor, but like almost capped dodge. You're going to have like 5k armor, and you're going to have like 5k ward on top of all of the less damage taken from focus. There are different things that you could do with this build as well. You could decide to go Seed of Yggdrasil, for example, right? You could decide to go Seed, damage dealt to mana. You could build the damage dealt to mana on your body armor as well, and be super tanky, since you're going to be channeling focus all the time and generating some extra mana. If you go that route, make sure to spec into more mana regen per missing mana when you channel focus. But I did not need to go that route because I felt like we needed more damage than tankiness, since the build is already so tanky already. So yeah, the primordial I decided to go for is going to be Fire Penetration with Fire Invocation, which not only gives you pen, but it also gives you armor per raw rune. So you don't have to go for other armor. Basically, you don't have to go for any armor anywhere else. For example, on the Blessing, you could have went for armor while channeling, which is huge. But to balance things out, the best setup that I found was this. Obviously, if you could decide to go some other ways and get armor here, but like I think this is the best way to go for this build. So you still have all of the different variants here. So the starting planner, even the starting gear for Hydrahedron will, like, if you have this, you can do 1000 corruption easy, and you're tanking everything. You're face tanking. Of course, no, like nothing anywhere here. You will not have that great damage, but still you can do 1000 corruption just fine. As soon as you have like some LP on some of your items, you are going to blast through this, and it's going to be a very tanky build. Classic Hydrohedron playstyle. I also decided to go for the guaranteeing the order of the rune depending on your skill bar, because it's going to be more quality of life for everyone. So this is the main change. Some passive change, some equipment change, but overall, if you're used to Hydrohedron, this stays the same, but now you channel focus to move around. Of course, all of these have their own build guides. So if you go for Hydrohedron, for example, all of this is updated to the current patch. Make sure that you see the tag Season 3. Any build guides that you see on Maxroll, they need to have the Season 3 guide for them to be updated for Season 3. So, yeah, you can take a look. Classic Maxroll guide, as always, with like a lot of information here. The video here, I might put this video inside of these guides because this is the previous video. But yeah, I didn't have time. I was on vacation, so that is gonna be that. Next up, we have Stormcrows. What happened to Stormcrows? Stormcrows has gotten a nerf from a lot of things in the tree. So Stormcrows get an inherent multiplier based on the number of crows that they have, based on the number of crows for Crowstorm. And so that multiplier got nerfed from 50% per to 30%. And this node got nerfed from 15% per point to 10%. That's a fairly big nerf. Also, we don't have the wolf anymore. The wolf used to give us an extra companion, but they did a lot of changes to the Beastmaster tree. And so we're getting a lot of power back from here. We are also getting aspect of the boar to our companion with these nodes here. So that's going to be a huge survivability increase. Not only this, but minion power got increased as well. So overall, it turns out to be a 10% more damage multiplier if you count the minion power upgrade. And then you also have the primordial item here. You see that this build is quite significantly different than last patch. Last patch we were going Vessel. I am not going Vessel anymore. We're going to be relying on some health regen and some leech. So we're going to be less tanky, but we're going to be mitigating the DPS loss by going with Tyrant Skull and stacking Endurance. We're not going Bastion of Honor. We're going Mountain. The Mountain shield scales with Endurance for scaling block chance. So instead of having block against only nearby targets, we're going to have a 100% block chance at all times against everything. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty good. Of course, we lost snapshotting. So there's no more snapshotting from items in the game. Only snapshotting that exists is going to be like some stuff with skills and stuff like that. But most of the snapshotting is gone. So now we lost a lot of power. We used to snapshot Death Rattle. We used to snapshot Jolra Rings. We used to snapshot a lot of stuff. Then again, this build is still going to be an absolute powerhouse, and it's going to deal solid A tier build. It's not anymore in the S tier category with like hundreds of millions of damage, unless you decide to go ZHP. But if you want to scale both defense and offense, this is still going to be very, very solid. And this is just to prove that, last patch you could have done this without snapshotting and still do fine and still have good survivability and still have good survivability for your crows and damage. But, sometimes people don't want to believe it. But here we are. No more snapshotting. Of course, endurance stacking with the Tyrant Skull is going to be great, because this is going to give us more health and damage per uncapped endurance. And this is going to be applied at 20 effectiveness to our minions. You could decide to stack more or less endurance. You can get upwards of 400% endurance if you do want to. But I went for a balanced approach, which is balance between damage and offense, defense and offense. And so, yeah. So this is my take on it. Of course, all of these builds, it's only speculation as to how they are going to perform. Although we are very, very confident if we are updating the guides. Since all content creators have been removed from CT, we do not have access to testing these prior to the patch going live. But yeah, these should work on paper. And yeah, this should really work. So nothing else has changed really. We lost the wolf, so I decided to go Fury Leap because I want to get a movement ability. I could have went, if you don't want to move an ability, you could have went for Frenzy Totem, but Fury Leap is going to give you an immune while leaping, so you get immunity. That's the main thing that you want in here. The rest is kind of like whatever, but like you get movement ability with immunity. Some damage here. You get another cleanse except for your Warcry. So that's going to be very, very good. You got Evolution's End, which is a new amulet, so we get more plus skills. So we get 41 skill levels inside of Stormcrows, which enables us to like put points into more of the multipliers here and here. And then we're scaling lightning damage. I went for the lightning version for this one because I felt like that was the most balanced one between damage and tankiness. So you're going to be scaling lightning damage on your pieces of gear. They are going to apply at 1.5 times the value for your crows. So stuff like, if you go into the aspirational planner here, stuff like shared increased lightning damage for you and your minions. These are going to be super, super powerful. But I'm still going to have to like test in game whether this or minion crit multi is going to be better. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For the idols, I went for a hybrid version of like, shared lightning damage and then increased health. And then you get some armor, some health regen, you get some pen and some resistances. So overall, very, very good build. A lot of the passives are pretty crazy. Your crows are now going to leech, not only melee leech, but just general leech with this node and the rework of aspected links as well, leech on crit. That's going to help a lot. Make sure to stack to go to these nodes as soon as possible, right? So the +1 companion here, +1 companion there, and then you get +1 level of minion skills here. And then aspect of the boar, of course. And you get some extra damage redirected to your highest health minion, which stacks with Mental Lapel Ox. That's going to be crazy good for tankiness as well. Overall, very, very good build. I'm not afraid to recommend this. Still solid A-tier build. Next up, I got the Totem Shaman. What did I do on this one? Classic Storm Totem Shaman here. Pretty much the same playstyle, but we get access to Bones of the Ancestral Pack. What does this mean? This means that when your minions will hit enemies, you will gain a stack that will increase your the damage, the attack and cast speed, the cooldown recovery speed, and also give you an insane amount of ward. So this build just got way tankier. You could have went for Pale Ox here as well, but I decided to go for like a fat ward generation and fat ward retention body armor. I'm going to test both in game and see how it is when the patch goes live. But Wall of Nothing seems like a pretty good option here. And you can farm it at the same time from regular Aberroth with Seed of Yggdrasil. So it's going to be an easy farm, like double dipping in your farming strategy. So easier to gear. And yeah, this should be pretty crazy. Plus with the all minion skills, we didn't really care because you don't really need the extra levels in Storm Totem. But you do get some movement speed per extra level. So this is kind of nice. Overall, this build, I think it's going to be, this is going to provide another more multiplier. Although you lose the block and the shield, with the insane chance to shock attackers on the Lagon shield, for example, in the starter version on Coral Aegis, you do gain that back with the attack and cast speed, the plus minion skills, the more damage multiplier, and you get a fat ward generation engine with this. So this is going to be pretty giga. Other than that, nothing much has changed for this build. I removed the second Spriggan to go for a bear. So bear is going to give you endurance threshold because summon Spriggan here is maximum health gain as endurance threshold when you have a bear. So you're going to have a bear and a Spriggan, but those are interchangeable. And if you don't want to use the bear, you can still use the second Spriggan. And I think the bug that makes you survive the one tap hits with Death Rattle is still there, but that would need to be tested. I haven't seen anything in the patch notes about that. Next up, we have Ballista Falconer. Ballista Falconer has gotten a buff, of course, minion power, 10% more damage. And then you get access to Reliquary Nest, which gives you your stats on your non-unique idols have 60% increased effect. So that is pretty massive when you think about having these idols, which have like 63% crit multi when you have a tier 7 enchant on it. So 63% times 4 times 1.6. That is a pretty great amount of critical strike multiplier. Not only this, but it's going to make you reach your armor shred stacks, your armor shred like maximum multiplier faster. And yeah, it's just going to be great. So that's the biggest change on Ballista. I also added, modified the hardcore version. Of course, evolutions and for +2 skills, Ballista is getting more plus levels, which is nice. And I've added an Uber Aberroth version, which changes some of the stuff here for void resistance, for the blessing, for example, just so that you can tank a few laser ticks and something like that. Change the skills, the passives. There's also inside of the guides, right? There is a section that I've added here for Ballista. because people thought that last patch Ballista was not very good to do Uber Aberrant, but that is completely wrong. If you got the gear for it, it's excellent for Uber Aberrant. And then you just have to change a few things, and you change also the tree for Ballista. So you remove the pierce, you add in all of the damage multipliers, you add in quick load, and then you can add dark quiver for some extra cheese when you're picking up the black arrows. You get more damage for your Ballista. That is not something I use for mapping, because in mapping, because we're ZHP, I really like having decoy, and this is like not very reliable. But against like a stationary target that you can like try to manipulate your movements, you can get more damage on this. So the endgame version is going to be around like, it's going to be around like 60 to 80 million DPS, and then the maybe more like 60 million DPS, and then the aspirational version is going to be over 100 million damage. Especially if you go with Dark Quiver, you're going to do a lot of damage. So that is for Ballista, still a very, very good build. Lightning Blast, the main thing that changed with Lightning Blast is going to be Vilatria set, which enables us to use it's the primal the primal exalt here, the primal unique Scholar's Legends Entwine. It's Legends Entwine enables you to like this is kind of like the Ring of Royal Grandeur in Diablo 3. It completes sets. It adds like a one piece of a set for all the sets that you have. So we have two sets. We have Feroboars and Vilatria. Vilatria will add flat damage to your spells per 2 intelligence, and we are already intelligence stacking with Mad Alchemist Ladle and Fragment of the Enigma to get the spark charges. You get the cast speed. You get a lot of stuff with intelligence. You get even more flat damage with this. And then this one will add another plus level, because the plus level to skills are going to be very important in Lightning Blast, because you're going to go for Hollow Effect for the Spark Nova chance. It seems that Frozen Sentinel did some testing. It seems that Hollow Effect benefits from the more multiplier that the spark charts get here, which I don't think it's supposed to happen. If this ever gets fixed, there is another option that you go Shatter Shock here, and you max this one out, and then you max out Arcing Power. You put 1 extra point in Arcing Power and 1 extra point in Chain Lightning instead, and that is pretty much almost the same DPS as going with 3 points in Hollow Effect. So if that ever gets fixed, then this is something else that you can do, because now not only your Lightning Blast will do more damage because you get flat damage for it from Vilatria, you get the flat damage here, you get the flat damage on Spark Nova, you get the flat damage from your smites that you cast here. So all of your procs get the extra flat damage from Vilatria, and you're not only getting it for your spark charges. So that's going to be very, very good. Overall, if you've played Lightning Blast last patch, this patch, it's about double the DPS that they had last patch. So very, very, very good. 25 to 30 million DPS on the endgame planner, and it's going to be way more on the aspirational planner. Yeah, so that's the main thing that changed with this. Compared to my version last patch, if you've been following the Maxroll guide, I swapped to Rune Bolt because I cannot use the mirror image tech with Pale Ox anymore with teleport, because we need those plus levels so badly to get like insane damage, right? So that's why I decided to go for this setup with Rune Bolt as your mana generator. But even then, with Foot of the Mountain, you should be pretty good on mana, and you basically cast Rune Bolt once every few seconds just to maintain its buffs. You cast Frostfall to maintain its buffs as well, and then you just spam Lightning Blast for giga damage. So really, really good build. Double the DPS from last patch. So it was solid last patch. It's even more solid this patch. So these are the 5 builds that I have updated. I still have yet to update the Frostbite Frostclaw build and the Lightning Swarmblade build guide. Not sure if I'll go Lightning or Frostbite. We're going to have a Swarmblade build. We're going to have a Frostbite Frostclaw build as well. Just need to get more time to do it. And so I had to like really, really crunch all of the build guides to and I did not want to sacrifice any quality of the guides. So I spent a lot of time on some of these. Some of them I had like a good plan already. Some of them had like a look a little bit more and a little bit further for them. Like Lightning Blast was really straightforward. Ballista, there was like a couple of options. Not that easy to solve. I'm gonna have to test again when the patch goes live. All of these I'm gonna have to test more when the patch goes live. But I'm confident that with these builds, you will have an absolutely great time in Season 3. So that pretty much covers all of my updates for this patch, guys. If you want to go more in depth on these builds, the Season 2 guides are still very, very good, and they can give you some insights on some of the mechanics of it. But I just wanted to go quickly over, before the patch goes live, because it goes live in like 1 hour, I want to go over quickly the changes that I did for these guides. So hope you enjoy this patch, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.